Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Kristen, this is my booktube, and first off I want to apologize for the lack of a video last week. I had some stuff going on in my personal life that took precedent over filming anything. Everything is good now, everyone is fine, but it did take most of my attention last week, and as a result, I did not have time to film or edit a video last week for this channel. So my sincerest apologies for that. But we are back this week with a new video that I feel like is long overdue, and that is an update regarding my Kindle. It has been basically exactly 1 year since I purchased my Kindle, and I have never done a follow-up video after my initial unboxing and first reactions to tell you how I actually feel about the Kindle once I got into using it. So I know initially I wanted to do an update, I believe I said like a month after I first got it, but the reason why I didn't do that is because I feel like I had not used it enough to really have a solid opinion after a month. So I figured it would be better to give it a little more time for me to formulate some more solid opinions. So here we are a year later, ready to talk about how I feel about my Kindle 1 year after purchasing it. I did go through and rewatch my initial unboxing video so that I could remember what I said in my initial reactions to kind of expand on those points or make some addendums, that kind of thing. So I have a list in front of me of talking points for the Kindle. And first of all, my Kindle is more decorated than it was the last time you probably saw it. I got a clear case and I have placed some stickers inside. Here's a little close-up of what the stickers look like. I have not actually stuck these to my Kindle. They are just placed inside of this clear case because, as I've mentioned before, I have commitment issues when it comes to actually using the stickers. So this is a great alternative for me. I was kind of worried that they were going to slide around a little bit, but they have been like this for probably about 8-9 months. And they have not really moved around. They have stayed pretty much exactly where I placed them. So if you're like me and you have a fear of commitment when it comes to using your stickers on things, and you want to use them on things like a Kindle, an iPad, a laptop, whatever, try this clear case thing, because I think this is going to be a winner, at least for the Kindle. I haven't tried it on any of my other technology, but I do really like the clear case and just placing the stickers that I did on this Kindle, because then I can also switch them out. Like this middle sticker is from my workbook club, so if we ever have new stickers that we get made, I can switch it out for the new sticker. I can change out some of these other ones. It just makes it a lot more easily customizable than like actually sticking stickers onto my Kindle. So yeah, I guess that's thing number one. I have decorated my Kindle and I do have a case on it now. So let's just start by talking about the things that I really do love about my Kindle even a year after purchasing it. And number one is that it is so portable. This is so easy to carry around. A lot of the times I throw it in my purse just so I have it with me, especially when I am traveling. I have taken this with me on pretty much every vacation that I've been on in the last year, or even like small trip. I think I mentioned in the last video that I was in a wedding pretty soon after I purchased this Kindle, and it came with me to the wedding. It's come with me on little weekend trips, on family trips, and it is so easy to just throw in a bag and tote around because it is very thin, it's very lightweight, so it doesn't add any bulk or weight to my purse or any travel bag. I also like how small it is for traveling as well, because it does fit in pretty much every single purse that I own, even the smallest ones, it fits just fine. So I really enjoy that as well, because I do remember that being one of the main selling points of me purchasing this Kindle a year ago, is the fact that it's a lot easier to fit this in a purse than it is to fit any of these books, honestly. So another selling point of the Kindle Paperwhite specifically is that it is waterproof. I have one of those like wooden tray things that like sits across the lip of the tub so that you can have like a stand for your phone, a place to put a drink or a candle. And I have brought this with me when I wanted to have a nice little relaxing evening in the tub, and it does work great in the bath. I have not actually like fully submerged it or anything, but just having the peace of mind that it is waterproof and I don't have to, you know, be absolutely paranoid about it getting even a little wet is very nice. I've also taken this with me to some pools last summer. I may have also brought it with me to a beach, but I can't quite remember. But in any case, I do enjoy the peace of mind that it is waterproof, so I don't have to be fearful of bringing it too close to a body of water, whether that be my bathtub, a pool, or a lake/ocean. So I do still really love that feature as well. Next up is the battery life. So this is something that I couldn't really attest to when I made the other video because I had only had it for, I believe, like a week or two when I made the last reaction, but the battery life on this is great. So it is at 81% right now, and I honestly don't remember the last time that I charged it, but I have been reading on it. I had an ebook that I borrowed from my library that I was trying to make my way through before it was due back. I did not quite finish the book before I had to return it to the library, but in any case, I have been reading on this quite a bit recently, and there's never really been an instance over the last year where I have picked it up to read it and the battery is like critically low, it shut off on me because the battery was low or anything like that. So the battery life is really great in that sense. Most of the time it lasts for so long that I notice before it even drops below like 40%. So I can plug it in and get it charged back up before it gets to a critical level. Yeah, and I think out of all of the like tech products that I have, this is probably the one with the most impressive battery life. I haven't like timed it or anything to see how long it lasts. I'm also pretty sporadic on how often I've picked up my Kindle over the last year. There will be weeks where I am really into reading on my Kindle. I'll pick it up pretty much every night before bed, or I'll be on some sort of trip and I will be constantly picking it up to read it on a vacation. But I haven't used it consistently enough to really be able to tell you a gauge of how long the battery lasts, other than I have not had any sort of issue with the battery running low on this thing in the entire year that I've had it. Next thing I want to talk about are the on-screen ads. So I know that I talked about these in my first reaction video, and I was mostly saying that I wasn't sure how distracting they were going to be, but other people have said that they don't really distract them at all. And I'm also in that camp now. This doesn't really distract me much at all. I think my main concern with the ad lock screen was that they were going to advertise me random products, but the fact that it advertises me books to read is something that does not bother me at all. In fact, it has shown me some interesting titles over the last year that I have taken pictures of on my phone to remember for later. It's shown me different titles that maybe I wasn't aware of, but then came up in conversation with some other friends. So it's definitely giving me some good recommendations. And just from my own anecdotal personal experience, I do think that there is some sort of algorithm where it suggests books that are similar to the ones that you've most recently read. Like, for example, the first book that I read on my Kindle was a Riley Sager thriller. And then while I was reading that book, it kept giving me a bunch of like thriller recommendations. The most recent book that I've read on my Kindle is a romance, and now it's giving me more romance suggestions. At least that's what this cover looks like to me. This looks like the cover for a romance novel, so I'm assuming that it's showing me this because I was recently reading a romance novel. But yeah, these ads, not distracting at all to me. If anything, it's actually helped me find new books and add new titles to my TBR. So I definitely am not bothered by this at all. The thing that is still a little bit annoying to me is the delayed response for the screen, but I've kind of gotten used to that, and people in my last video in the comments explained why it is the way it is, and I do understand that. So it is less annoying now, although I do think it is still quite slow in the time that it takes to like actually open the Kindle. But now that I know that there is a reason for that, I'm not nearly as put off by it, I would say. At this point, I think it's just something that you have to deal with if you have a Kindle. It's not the end of the world. It's not super annoying. It's mostly the delays in trying to open the Kindle and wake it up after it's been asleep for a bit that take the longest time. But once you actually have it up and going and you're reading through, it's really not that big of a delay and it's not that noticeable at all. So I would definitely say that that's not really a big gripe that I have anymore with this, since I have been educated on why the Kindle screen is the way that it is. Now, I will say that I have not been gravitating towards reading on my Kindle as much as I would have expected. I really expected that this would pretty much replace my desire to read most physical books. I think it did for the first couple weeks that I had it, but I think that's mostly because, you know, when you get a new piece of technology, you're just so excited about it that you just want to use it all the time, find out what all it can do and stuff like that. So I think that once that like new novelty of it kind of wore off, I noticed myself reaching for it less and less, to the point where I had to make more of an overt effort to make sure that I was actually picking up my Kindle regularly. So it definitely has its place, and that place is when I'm traveling and when I want to read right before bed. And that kind of naturally leads me into the accessories that I bought in the last video. I have not bought any new Kindle accessories since my initial purchase, so I don't have anything new to show you guys, but I do just want to talk about the ones that I did buy and if I think that they're worth the money that I spent on them. So firstly, we have this little Kindle arm, and I don't think I've actually ever shown this in a video because it was like mounted to my bed when we first did our unboxing, but this is what it looks like. You just kind of take the Kindle and put it in the clamp like that. And this also works for my iPad and stuff too. So I've used this with my iPad as well, but it is specifically something that I bought for my Kindle. And then this little clamp bit just goes on like my headboard. And then you can adjust the arm bit to where it's comfortable in front of your face, basically. This, in combination with my little clicker, has been amazing for reading before bed. These two things are really a game changer if you do own a Kindle. If you do own a Kindle and you would like to do some hands-free reading in bed, I definitely suggest this little combo right here. You don't have to buy these exact brands. I don't even know what brands these are, to be honest. There are so many online that you could pick from, but a little hands-free arm and a little clicker set is amazing when you just want to read before bed. I don't know about y'all, but I am definitely the type of person that will drop my phone on my face at least one time in bed. And it is part of the reason why my phone has a pop socket on it, because it helps me not drop it as often. So this falling on my face would probably hurt a lot more than me dropping just my phone. So this little arm is great in the way that it prevents me from doing that, because I can just adjust it to where it is perfectly right in front of my face. I can get it close enough to my face to where I can read it without my glasses. And then I can just like have my little clicker and like be nice and cozy in my bed and just click this when I want to turn a page. I do still have my qualms with this little clamp, and I still don't fully understand why there can't be like a fully Bluetooth remote to go with a Kindle, or at least I did not see any Bluetooth remotes when I was shopping for this one, and I haven't looked again because I'm not going to buy another remote when this one works just fine. But I do still think it is a little bit annoying to have to clamp this little thing onto my Kindle screen. And I know that I can adjust my margin sizes so that the clamp doesn't cover any of the words, or I don't have to like put it right on the edge of the screen. I know I can do all of that. The problem with that is then there's even less words on the page and I'm just having to click through more pages, and I would rather just not do that. So that's why I haven't gone that route. I just begrudgingly deal with the little clamp being there, and I try to put it as far off to the side as I can so I don't have to move it around. And it's worked pretty well for me so far. So it's not like a huge complaint or anything. I just don't fully understand why a Bluetooth capable device can't have a Bluetooth remote for it. I don't know if there's some sort of reason why that can't be done. But I just know when I was looking for a hands-free page turner, they all had these little clamps and I could not find one that was just purely Bluetooth, which would have been my preference, but I digress. I still think that these are worth the money, even if I don't fully understand why we have to have this little clamp thing when the device is Bluetooth enabled. The clicker is still great. The clicker still works just fine. The battery life on it is great, and I don't think that I've really had many issues with me wanting to use these and they were dead. I just charge them periodically because I don't really know if there's a way to tell when the batteries are low in these other than it just does not work on the Kindle. So all that to say, I definitely recommend these little remote page turners and this little arm as well. I also will say that even though it doesn't really look like it, this can travel fairly easily. I just fold it up like this and put it in my suitcase, throw these in whatever carry-on I'm bringing, and I have brought this whole thing to hotels before and it's worked great. So you can also travel with this too if you really want to. If you're maybe a little deranged like me, you can definitely travel with these. I have even set my Kindle up like in the little tablet holder on a plane before and used the little clicker to do some reading on a plane. So even outside of hands-free reading in bed, you can also use the clicker on a plane or really anywhere where you just want to like set up your Kindle and not have to hold it. I've even used it like sitting at desks before or sitting at a table, just prop this up on the table, have the little clamp thing on there and then just clicking through just like that. And these are so small and portable that you can really just toss them in your purse and bring them with the Kindle wherever you go. I've definitely used these accessories a ton since I purchased my Kindle a year ago. I would venture to say that pretty much every time I read on my Kindle, I'm either using these clickers, the arm, or both. So I definitely think that they're both good investments if you own a Kindle or you're thinking about buying a Kindle. And the last couple things that I want to talk about are like actual functions that the Kindle does that I appreciate. So I did have the Kindle Unlimited trial and I did keep it for a couple months after the trial ended. I believe it was like $12 a month, something like that, which I justified by being like, okay, well, that's around the price of like buying a book. So if I just read one book a month on my Kindle, then that pretty much makes it worth it, right? The problem is I did not get through one book a month on my Kindle. Like I said, I didn't reach for it nearly as much as I thought I would after the whole new tech shine kind of wore off of it a little bit. So I did end up getting rid of Kindle Unlimited, but I did figure out how to get my library books onto my Kindle. At least through Libby. That's the only one that I've actually borrowed some books through and put them on my Kindle. So at the beginning of 2025, I decided that I really wanted to lean into using my library more and utilizing the resources that they have. I mean, they're free and my local library is really great. So I want to, utilize the services that they have and make sure that I am actually using them. And when I figured out how to send ebooks from my local library through Libby to my Kindle, that was a total game changer. And it honestly made me more excited to read more on my Kindle because now that I know how to send them from Libby to my Kindle, it just feels so much easier to motivate myself to use my Kindle. And also the time constraints on borrowing books from my local library will hopefully also help me get through the books a little quicker. That didn't quite happen with the last book that I borrowed from my local library on my Kindle. I only made it about halfway through that one before my borrow time was up, but hey, I read half of the book before my borrow time was up, so I'm taking that as a win, honestly, because I still used it. I still made progress in the book and I can always just borrow it again. I bookmarked my page before the loan expired, so I can pick up right where I left off whenever I can borrow it again. But yeah, I think that that is definitely a game changer, especially with me wanting to give less money to companies like Amazon, which seems kind of unavoidable when you buy a Kindle. But I feel like being able to put some of my library books on here and read those is going to be a great substitute for Kindle Unlimited. And I already have a couple more ebooks that I want to send over to my Kindle and start reading. I just haven't done that yet because I have some audiobooks that I gotta get through before their borrow time is up now. So I will be focusing on that first before I jump back into some ebook reading. But I am hopeful that I can beef up my ebook numbers through my local library this year and really utilize my Kindle for that as well. And since Kindle is owned by Amazon, who also owns Goodreads, it is nice that once I start a book on my Kindle, I can automatically update my reading progress on Goodreads through my Kindle. It's very nice to have that connected. It makes it really easy to track my reads, especially because when I'm physically reading, and honestly when I'm reading anything, whether it be an audiobook, ebook, physical book, I am horrible at tracking my progress as I'm reading. I usually do not update like what percentage I am in the book, even though I try to remember to do that. A lot of times I forget, so it just sits at 0% until I'm done with the book and I mark it as finished. So having the ability to do those updates while I'm actually on my Kindle reading an ebook is very nice. And also being able to automatically mark the book as currently reading through my Kindle, also very nice. Another thing that I really enjoy about reading on my Kindle versus reading a physical book is how easy it is to look up words and make notes, highlight things. It's very easy on the Kindle to do that. The word lookup function specifically is something that I use all the time. Anytime I encounter a word that I'm not quite familiar with in a book, I try to Google it. And when I'm reading a physical book, that means that I have to put down the book, pull out my phone, Google it, risk getting distracted by other things on my phone before inevitably coming back to the book and remembering, oh yeah, I was reading this and this whole side tangent was kicked off by me not knowing what this one word means. And when you're using an e-reader like a Kindle, you can just highlight whatever word you're not sure of, get a definition, all within the Kindle itself. So you don't have to open your phone. You don't have to get drawn in by your notifications when you can look up the word directly through Kindle. And that is a function that I use all the time on my Kindle. I'm not usually the type to really annotate my books. I have done it in the past for a couple of books, but it's not something that I really do in every single book that I own. For a long time, I was very much a do not write in my books kind of girl, but I've slowly gotten over that, especially when I was in grad school, because I started annotating for my dissertation research directly in the books, and that has kind of bled into me starting to do that a little bit more in my physical books that I read for fun as well. But it's just so much easier in the Kindle, and I don't feel the same guilt that I feel when I write in a physical book. So I make a lot more silly notes, which I think are a lot more fun to go back and reference, because there'll just be like something funny that a character says, and then I just mark that. I'm like, haha, this reminds me of this or something. So there are a lot more casual thoughts that I'm noting down. And I don't have that same pressure that I put on myself of being like, well, is this important enough to warrant writing in one of your books? Or are you just being silly? With this Kindle, I can be as silly as I want with my highlights and notes. And believe me, I have. I've made highlights in the books that I've read on this Kindle that are purely just me making a silly little joke. And that's not really something that I do that often in my physical books. I feel like it helps make it a bit more engaging in that sense when I can just put in my own little quips and not really feel any guilt about it, you know? And I know that's more of a me thing than anything else. There are people that love to write in the margins of their books. They will highlight, they will doodle, they will do whatever. And I'm all for that. It's just not something that comes natural to me, I guess. And being able to do it digitally just makes me feel a little less guilty about it. And the last function within the Kindle that I'm going to talk about is the reading tracking within the Kindle. And what I mean by that is the little progress tracker at the bottom of the screen that it has, as well as the time left in this chapter function. The percentage markers that tell you that you are 50% of the way done with the book or whatever, I really like that. I've said before that I'm a person that is motivated by seeing that percentage climb. So whatever type of book that I'm reading, I always like to know how much more I have left in each chapter. And that's not because I'm being impatient or anything like that. I'm just the kind of reader that likes to take breaks at the end of chapters. I don't like to stop reading in the middle of a chapter. So it just helps me gauge when I should stop reading so that I don't end up having to stop in the middle of a chapter. And when I read physical books, that often leads to me being midway through a chapter and then seeing how many pages are left so that I know about how long it will take me to finish the chapter. And I just really enjoy that Kindle does that for me. Yeah, so you can see, maybe, in the bottom corner, it tells you what percentage you are through the book and also what page that you're on currently. And then if you pull up like the little menu part, it will also tell you what page you are in the book, as well as how long it should take you to finish the chapter. And it does calculate how long it thinks it will take you to finish a chapter based on the pace that you read at. And I do like that. But the problem is, especially if you're someone like me that likes to read your Kindle before you fall asleep, there are some times where you start to like nod off while you're reading, and that does drag your pace down a bit. So like with that book specifically, I read that before I go to bed, and oftentimes I will start to fall asleep and it will skew the actual reading time for each chapter. I think at one point it got up to like 25 minutes for like 10 pages, and that's solely because when I started this book, I would be falling asleep in the middle of reading. So it's not always completely accurate if you do stuff like that, but it is a nice gauge and gives you an idea of how long it should take you to finish each chapter. So I do really like that function, even if it's not 100% accurate for me personally because of the way that I choose to read. I still think that it's a really cool function, and I do really enjoy that function as well. So yeah, overall, my year with the Kindle Paperwhite has been pretty good. So even though it's not something that I religiously read on for the vast majority of the books that I read, I still gravitate towards it for specific situations like reading before bed, or when I'm traveling and I don't want to carry a bunch of books with me, or just having it in my purse so that if I find myself waiting for someone, whether it be meeting up with a friend, or if I'm getting my oil changed and I have to sit in a waiting room for like 40 minutes, this is just a great thing to have in my purse so that I can pull it out and just do some reading instead of constantly pulling out my phone and just, doom scrolling. This is a far better alternative, in my opinion, than just doom scrolling on the internet. So I really enjoy my Kindle Paperwhite. I personally think that it was worth the money that I spent on it, and I think that I will get a lot of use out of it, especially now that I've finally figured out how to use my library card with my Kindle. I'm gonna be very interested to see how many books I get through on my Kindle with my library card. I don't even know if I've actually said it before on this channel, but in 2025, I am trying to do most of my reading through my local library. And that mostly means borrowing ebooks and audiobooks from my local library. I don't think I'll actually borrow any physical books just because I'm a homebody, so having to actually leave my apartment to go physically get a book from the library is probably not going to be the way I'm going to go with this, but I do want to utilize their digital collections as much as possible. So I am very excited that I have now figured out how to do that with my Kindle, and I think that hopefully it will lead to me using my Kindle more, and the time constraints of the borrows will help me actually make progress on the books that I borrow. So yeah, that is pretty much my full update on how I'm feeling about my Kindle Paperwhite 1 year later. This may have been a little all over the place. I literally just rewatched my video from last year and I made like a little list of all of the different things that I wanted to say. So if this was a little all over the place, my apologies. It's because I did not really script this. I'm just giving you my honest opinion off the cuff, so if it's a little disorganized, I'm very sorry about that. It's just the way my brain works, but in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see my initial reactions and the first unboxing video I did, I'll go ahead and link the video as well so that you can go watch that. If you have a Kindle, whether it be the Paperwhite, the original, I think the other one's called like the Scribe, I don't know. But if you have a Kindle or another e-reader and you have thoughts you want to share about them, you can go ahead and leave them in the comments below for me and other people to see. I am just one person with one opinion, so I definitely encourage you to seek other opinions before making a decision on a Kindle. I will say, in general, I'm not a fan of Amazon as a company, and I have gotten rid of pretty much all of my subscriptions that are Amazon based, including, as I've mentioned, Kindle Unlimited. So I also wanted to make this video to update that I am basically just using this Kindle to read library books now. So if you are someone who is thinking about getting a Kindle and worried about being tied to the Amazon library, just know that you can also read library books on here as well. You may even be able to send other PDFs from other websites to the Kindle as well. I just only have experience sending library books to my Kindle, but don't think you have to be tied to Amazon if you get a Kindle. You can definitely get books from other places as well. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. I have been yapping for almost an hour, so we'll see how long this video ends up being. Hopefully it's not too long, but I had a lot to say about my Kindle after my first year of using it, and I hope that the information in this video, my thoughts and opinions, were helpful for some people. If you guys enjoyed this video, you should go ahead and leave a like down below. Let me know. You should also subscribe while you're down there because I put out new bookish content pretty much every week. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.